Beloved, life does not always come to us wrapped in ribbons and flowers. Sometimes it arrives with fists full of fire, testing the spirit, shaking the bones, and daring us to give up. But here you are, here you sit, proof that even though life pressed against you, you did not fall away. This is the power within you. And tonight I invite you to journey with me, because what I am about to share is not just a speech, it is a lifeline for your weary soul. If you listen, if you hold on, you will leave this moment lighter than you came, with tools that no storm can steal. Stay with me, for what you are seeking has been waiting for you all along. There are moments in life when pain presses against the chest so fiercely it feels as though the very air has been stolen. The weight of grief, disappointment, or heartbreak can be so heavy that you forget you were born with the power to breathe through it. Breath is more than the act of keeping your body alive. It is the song of your spirit, the quiet reminder that you are still here, that no storm has silenced you completely. When you breathe deeply and with intention, you are telling the universe that although you feel broken, you are still reaching for wholeness. The first instinct in pain is to tighten. Shoulders stiffen, jaws lock, hearts close. You guard yourself because you believe protection comes from resistance. But in truth, healing begins not with resistance, but with release. And the gateway to release is breath. Think about it. When you are angry, your breath becomes short and sharp. When you are afraid, it catches in your throat. When you are overwhelmed, it scatters and hides. Yet when you choose to pause, to slow down, to inhale deeply, you reclaim what fear has stolen. Breath loosens the grip of pain. It whispers to the body, peace is still possible. Consider a child crying uncontrollably. Their sobs come in gasps and hiccups until someone, often a loving hand, places itself gently on their back and says, "Breathe, baby, just breathe." And when the child takes that one deep, trembling breath, the storm inside begins to soften. So it is with us. We are not so different from that child. We too need the reminder to breathe when the world feels unbearable. Breathing into pain is not about denying what hurts. It is about creating room around the hurt. Imagine a small box with jagged edges pressed tightly against your skin. If you push against it, the cuts only grow deeper. But if you make space around it, the pressure lessens and you can begin to heal. Breath makes that space. It is the cushion between you and your suffering. With every inhale, you gather strength. With every exhale, you release a portion of what burdens you. I have watched people endure the unimaginable, losses that seem too deep, betrayals that cut too sharp, burdens that appeared too heavy. And I have seen the same people close their eyes, place their hands over their hearts, and simply breathe. At first, their breaths were shaky, uneven, full of the same fear that tormented them. But with time, each breath steadied, and as the breath steadied, so did the spirit. That is the secret. Peace does not arrive in one giant wave. It comes breath by breath, moment by moment, until suddenly you realize you are not drowning anymore. Think of the ocean. Waves crash against the shore with power and fury, but beneath the surface lies a steady rhythm. The ocean breathes in and out, endless, unhurried, timeless. We too carry that same rhythm within us. No matter how loud the storm above, the current of breath remains. When you are lost in pain, connect yourself back to that rhythm. Close your eyes. Place your hand over your chest. Feel the rise and fall. That rise is life. That fall is survival. The rhythm is your proof that you are still part of the living, still worthy of healing, still capable of rising. Breathing into pain requires courage. It is easier to run, to numb, to silence yourself with distractions. But when you sit still and breathe, you face the ache head on. You let it exist without letting it own you. You say to the pain, "I will not fight you, but I will not let you consume me either." Breath is your declaration of balance, your refusal to surrender completely. In the quiet moments of deep breathing, you may even hear the whispers of wisdom hidden beneath the noise of suffering. Pain often speaks, but only when you slow down enough to listen. With every breath, the voice grows clearer. This will not last. You are stronger than you think. You will rise again. Breath becomes the bridge between the anguish of now and the hope of tomorrow. Breath is also a prayer. When words fail you, when your heart is too heavy to form sentences, your breath becomes your offering. Each inhale says, "Help me." Each exhale says, "Thank you." You may not even know whom you are speaking to, but the sacred exchange takes place all the same. The act of breathing in pain is a reminder that you are never truly alone, for life itself continues to breathe with you. And let us not forget the body. Breath is medicine. It slows the heart, calms the nervous system, loosens tight muscles, and releases the tension stored in places you did not even know were clenched. When you breathe deeply, your body begins to heal itself. Pain may linger, but it no longer rules. Breath becomes both healer and guide, leading you back to yourself. There is a beauty in this simple act that often goes unnoticed. We look for grand solutions to our problems, forgetting that the smallest, most accessible tool we have has been with us since birth. You do not need money, nor permission, nor special circumstance to breathe. It belongs to you and you alone. At any moment, in any place, you can return to it. In a crowded room, in the quiet of your home, in the middle of chaos, in the depth of sorrow, breath is there, constant, faithful, ready. So when pain finds you, and it will, remember this. Do not fight against the storm with clenched fists. Do not close yourself so tightly that no light can enter. Instead, breathe. Breathe deeply. Breathe slowly. Breathe intentionally. And in that breath, you will find your strength again. There comes a time when life lays a heavy hand upon your shoulder and whispers that you cannot make it. The weight of disappointment, the sting of rejection, the silence of loneliness, these moments arrive uninvited and they carry a lie with them. They tell you that you are too weak, too broken, too weary to continue. But hear me, that is not the truth. The truth is written in every scar on your body, in every tear you have cried, in every dawn you have lived to see after nights that tried to destroy you. The truth is this: you have survived before. Think back to the days when you thought it was over. Remember the heartbreak that shattered your spirit, the loss that bent your knees, the betrayal that stole your trust. You thought you could not bear it, yet here you are. You carried yourself through fires that others did not see. You endured battles no one clapped for. You walked through valleys so deep you thought you would never see the sun again. But eventually the light returned and you were still standing. The memory of survival is a shield. It is proof that even when the ground trembled beneath you, you found your footing again. And that same strength, that same resilience, that same spirit is alive within you now. Survival does not abandon you, it grows with you. Every trial you endured became a stone, and together those stones built the foundation you now stand on. You may not realize it, but you are stronger today because of what you overcame yesterday. Often, in the middle of struggle, the mind forgets. Pain has a way of erasing memory, convincing you that this moment is unlike any other, that you have never been this low, that you will not climb out this time. But you must remind yourself intentionally, fiercely, that this is not the first valley you have walked through. Say to yourself, I have been here before and I rose before. Pain is not a stranger to me, and neither is victory. Survival is written in your very breath. Think of the moments when you thought your heart would never mend, Yet somehow it stitched itself together piece by piece. Think of the days when you did not know how you would pay the cost of living, yet doors opened, help arrived, and solutions found their way to you. Think of the moments when loneliness sat at your table like an unwelcome guest, yet eventually companionship, friendship, or the sweetness of your own company filled the space again. All of these moments are reminders. They are not accidents. They are testimonies. They are evidence that you have endured. There is power in memory. When you remember what you have already survived, you take the power away from fear. Fear thrives on forgetfulness. It whispers, "You cannot do this," because it hopes you will not recall the many times you already did. Fear is a liar, and memory is the truth that silences it. Call to mind the strength you showed when everything was against you. Remind yourself of the nights you cried yourself to sleep and still rose with swollen eyes and trembling hope. That is survival. That is triumph. That is strength. Do not mistake survival for weakness. Some believe that because they did not come through untouched, because they bear scars, they somehow failed. But scars are not signs of weakness. Scars are evidence of healing. They prove that you were wounded, yes, but they also prove that you endured. You lived long enough to heal, and that is no small thing. Every scar is a chapter in the story of your courage. Survival has shaped you into more than you were before. It has carved wisdom into your spirit. It has planted compassion in your heart. It has stretched your resilience beyond what you thought possible. Without even realizing it, every survival has been preparing you for the next storm. And though you do not welcome the storm, you must understand, you are not meeting it empty-handed. You are carrying years of endurance, of persistence, of unbroken spirit. When the present feels unbearable, let the past be your reminder. Close your eyes and revisit the versions of yourself who thought they could not go on. Remember that they did. Remember that you did. Speak to your current self the way you would comfort a friend. You have faced this kind of darkness before. You have cried these kinds of tears before. And you lived, and you rose, and you smiled again. You owe it to yourself to remember, because memory is the medicine that weakens despair. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is look back and say, if I made it through that, I will make it through this. Those words are not empty. They are born of truth, of lived experience. You did not imagine your past battles. You lived them, and you did not imagine your past victories. You earned them. That history belongs to you, and it cannot be taken away. Carry it into your present. Let it remind you that what looks impossible now will one day be another story of triumph. You are more than the pain of this moment. You are the sum of every survival you have already achieved. You are the echo of every yes you whispered when despair tried to force a no from your lips. You are the product of strength you did not even know you had. The you that stands here now is a survivor, built from years of fire and years of rising. And that survivor is strong enough to carry you through again. So when the nights are long and the fear is loud, remind yourself, this is not the end. This is another page in a book that has already proven your resilience. You have survived before. You will survive again. Gratitude is not the denial of pain. It is the declaration of power in the midst of it. It is the choice to lift your eyes above the storm, even while the rain is still falling. When life feels unbearable, when the weight of sorrow pulls at your chest, gratitude becomes the anchor that holds you steady. It does not erase the storm, but it keeps you from drifting into despair. Gratitude whispers, yes, this hurts, but look closer. There is still something here worth holding on to. There are times when pain narrows your vision until all you can see is what is missing, what is broken, what is wrong. You stare so long at the wound that you forget the body around it still breathes, still lives, still fights for you. Gratitude widens that vision. It pulls you back and says, "Do not forget what remains." It asks you to notice the breath in your lungs, the strength in your legs, the sunrise that greets you, the kindness of a stranger, the laughter you once shared, the memories that no loss can take away. These small things are not small at all. They are lifelines, and they remind you that even in the middle of struggle, life has not abandoned you completely. It is not easy to practice gratitude when your heart is heavy. It feels almost unfair to ask yourself to find beauty when you are surrounded by ashes. But gratitude does not ask you to deny your pain. It simply invites you to notice that your pain is not the whole story. Gratitude says, yes, you are hurting, but you are not only hurting. Yes, you are grieving, but you are not only grieving. There is still light here, and it still belongs to you. Think of a person lost at sea. The waves crash, the sky darkens, the waters rise. Panic grows because the storm feels endless. But then, in the middle of the chaos, the sailor throws down an anchor. The waves do not stop. The winds do not vanish. Yet the anchor holds the ship in place, steadying it against the force of the storm. Gratitude is that anchor for the soul. Life may continue to roar around you, but gratitude keeps you from being swallowed whole. It grounds you in what is real, in what is still good, and what is still worthy of thanks. Perhaps you remember a moment when everything seemed to fall apart, but someone showed up. A friend with a listening ear, a family member with open arms, even a stranger with a small kindness. In that moment, you felt seen, you felt cared for, and it reminded you that life still carries threads of love. Gratitude is pausing long enough to say, thank you for that. It is a recognition that even when 99 things go wrong, one thing going right is still worth your attention. Gratitude has a way of changing the language of the heart. Instead of why me, it teaches you to ask, what is still with me? Instead of focusing on what has been taken, it helps you see what cannot be taken away. Your breath is still yours. Your spirit is still yours. Your ability to love, to hope, to rise, those are still yours. Gratitude shifts you from despair to dignity, from hopelessness to strength. Some people believe gratitude is reserved for moments of joy, for blessings that are obvious and abundant. But the greatest power of gratitude is revealed in the shadows. To say thank you when everything is perfect requires little strength. To say thank you when everything is falling apart, that is power. That is defiance. That is a bold refusal to let pain write the entire story of your life. Gratitude is not just a thought. It is a practice. It is training the heart to search for light, even in dark places. It might begin with the simplest things. I am grateful for this breath. I am grateful for this moment of rest. I am grateful for the strength to rise from my bed today. Each small acknowledgement builds upon the last, and slowly the weight of despair begins to lift. Gratitude becomes a habit, a rhythm, a quiet rebellion against hopelessness. There is healing in gratitude. Science may tell us how it calms the mind and lifts the mood, but the spirit knows it even deeper. Gratitude softens anger. It soothes bitterness. It cracks open the hardened places of the heart and lets love flow again. It transforms survival into living. It transforms endurance into joy. Think of the elders who have lived through wars, through loss, through hunger, through struggles that would have broken many. Ask them how they carried themselves through, and often you will hear them say, "We were thankful for what little we had." That gratitude did not erase their suffering, but it gave them a reason to keep going. Gratitude makes the smallest blessing shine like gold when all else feels empty. In your own life, gratitude can be the difference between giving up and pressing on. When you wake in the morning, weary from yesterday's pain, take one breath and ask yourself, what is still here? It may be as simple as the warmth of sunlight on your face, the sound of a bird outside your window, or the memory of someone who once loved you deeply. These are threads, and when you gather enough of them, they weave a net strong enough to carry you through the day. Gratitude is also contagious. When you live in a spirit of thanks, others feel it. Your words, your presence, your resilience become a testimony. You remind others that even in difficulty, beauty exists. And as you anchor yourself, you become an anchor for those around you. Gratitude does not just heal you. It has the power to heal communities, to inspire courage, to spread hope like light in a room that has been dark too long. So when the nights stretch long and the heaviness feels unbearable, reach for gratitude. Not because it will erase the storm, but because it will hold you steady until the storm passes. Gratitude is your anchor, your reminder, your strength. It says to the world, I may be bent, but I will not be broken. I may be hurting, but I am still grateful for the life that beats within me. There comes a time in every life when the weight you are carrying is not your own, yet you grip it so tightly it feels as if letting go would mean failure. You cling to the things you cannot change, the choices of others, the turns of fate, the outcomes of battles that were never yours to win. And while you clutch them, your spirit grows weary, your shoulders ache, and your heart beats heavy. But the truth is, not everything belongs to you to hold. There is freedom in release. There is strength in surrender. We are taught to fight for what we love, to persevere, to push forward no matter what. And yes, persistence has its place. But wisdom lives in knowing the difference between what can be changed and what must be accepted. Some doors will not open no matter how long you knock. Some people will not stay no matter how hard you beg them to. Some storms will rage regardless of your prayers. And if you spend your life trying to control what was never meant for your hands, you will drain yourself of the energy you need for the battles that are truly yours. Releasing does not mean giving up. It does not mean weakness. It means acknowledging that you are human, that you cannot twist the entire world into your design, and that sometimes peace arrives not from winning, but from letting go. Imagine holding a rope with all your strength while the other end is being pulled away from you. The tighter you cling, the more your hands burn, the more your skin tears. Yet when you finally release, the pain stops. Your hands can heal. Your spirit can breathe again. There is courage in loosening your grip. It takes faith to say, this is beyond me, and I will not let it consume me. It takes trust to let the river carry what you cannot. The river knows where it is going, even when you do not. And perhaps what you are releasing is not meant to vanish, but to find its own path separate from yours. So often we try to hold on to people who are not meant to walk the entire journey with us. We try to control their choices, their behavior, their presence, but love is not control. Love is freedom, and sometimes the greatest act of love for them and for yourself is to release them, to say, I bless you as you go, and I bless myself as I stay. That does not erase the pain, but it honors the truth, and the truth is always lighter to carry than the illusion. Control is a heavy burden because it was never meant to be yours in the first place. You cannot control the passage of time, yet you mourn it as if your tears could slow the clock. You cannot control the hearts of others, yet you twist yourself into knots trying to earn what was never freely given. You cannot control every outcome, yet you lose sleep rehearsing every possibility. This is a prison of your own making, and the key to unlock it is release. Release is not an act you do once. It is a practice, a daily surrender. Every morning you may have to remind yourself, this burden is not mine today. I will not waste my breath trying to bend what will not bend. I will trust that life has its own order, even when I do not understand it. And with each day you practice release, the chains grow lighter, the heart grows freer, and peace becomes your companion. There is an old saying, let go and let life. To let go is to believe that there is something greater than your control, something wiser than your plan, something kinder than your fear. When you release, you are not falling into emptiness. You are falling into trust. Trust that the path is unfolding. Trust that you are not alone. Trust that life knows how to mend what you cannot. Think of the seasons. No tree fights to keep its leaves in winter. When the time comes, it lets them fall, trusting that spring will return with new growth. If the tree resisted, if it clung to leaves long dead, it would never have space for new life to arrive. So it is with us. What we cling to may feel like life, but often it is only memory, only fear, only attachment. Release clears the soil so something new can bloom. Sometimes release looks like forgiveness, not because what happened was fair or right, but because carrying resentment chains you to the past. Forgiveness does not mean you condone what was done. It means you choose not to let it poison your spirit anymore. You release the bitterness so that peace has room to grow. Sometimes release looks like silence, choosing not to argue, not to explain yourself endlessly, not to force someone to see what they refuse to see. Silence is not defeat, it is strength. It is the recognition that your worth is not dependent on persuasion. Sometimes release looks like walking away, not because you are weak, but because you are wise enough to know that staying would destroy you. Walking away is not failure, it is survival. And sometimes release is simply breathing. Inhale, exhale. Each breath a reminder that life flows whether or not you control it. That breath is proof you are alive, and life itself is still carrying you. There will always be things you cannot control. That is the nature of living. But when you stop gripping what is not yours, you discover how much more strength you have for what is. You can pour yourself into the work that matters, the love that is mutual, the dreams that are within your reach. Release is not losing, it is choosing. Choosing peace over chaos, trust over fear, freedom over bondage. So when the weight grows too heavy, ask yourself, does this belong to me, or am I carrying something that was never mine to hold? And if it does not belong to you, release it. Let the river take it. Let the wind carry it. Trust that by loosening your grip, you are not falling apart. You are finally coming home to yourself. No one heals in silence alone. The spirit may be strong, but even the strongest spirit needs the gentle sound of a kind word, the steady presence of another soul who says, I see you, I hear you, you are not alone. Healing may begin within, but it grows in the company of voices that nurture, voices that soothe, voices that remind us of who we are when we have forgotten ourselves. There are voices in this world that wound. You have heard them. The ones that told you that you were not enough, that mocked your pain, that dismissed your struggle. Those voices carve holes in the heart and leave echoes that ring long after the words were spoken. But just as there are voices that harm, there are voices that heal. These are the voices that speak life into your weary bones. They say, you are more than this moment. You are greater than this pain. You are worthy of love, and you will rise again. Healing voices are not always loud. Sometimes they are gentle whispers. Sometimes they are found in laughter shared over a simple meal, in the embrace of someone who holds you without needing to speak, in the quiet presence of a friend who sits beside you in silence. Healing voices do not always solve your problems. They do not always have the answers, but they do what matters most. They remind you that you are not carrying the weight alone. Think of the way a song can reach into your soul and stir something awake. A melody can comfort you even if the words are few. That is the power of a healing voice. It touches something deeper than the mind. It speaks directly to the spirit. When you are surrounded by such voices, your own voice grows stronger. You begin to believe again. You begin to hope again. There is wisdom in choosing the company you keep. If you spend your time surrounded by voices of doubt, criticism, and bitterness, those words will seep into your soul. They will shape the way you see yourself, and they will chain you to fear. But if you surround yourself with healing voices, voices of encouragement, compassion, and truth, you will find yourself rising even when you thought you had no strength left. Healing voices come in many forms. They may be the words of a mentor who sees your potential when you only see your flaws. They may be the prayers of a loved one whispered quietly when you are too tired to pray for yourself. They may be the stories of others who have walked through pain and emerged whole, reminding you that survival is possible. They may even be the words you speak to yourself when you look in the mirror and say, "I will not give up on me." Do not underestimate the importance of choosing who has access to your ears and your heart. Not every voice deserves that power. Some will drain you, some will use you, some will plant seeds of despair. But the healing voices will water the seeds of resilience, of courage, of love. They will help you bloom again. Surround yourself with those who speak light, and you will find your darkness fading. And remember this: sometimes the healing voice you need most is your own. The world may shout lies at you, but your own voice has the power to speak truth. When you wake weary, tell yourself, "I will make it through this day." When you feel unworthy, remind yourself, "I have survived too much to doubt my value now." When you feel alone, whisper, "I am never truly alone, for life itself breathes with me." Your voice matters. Your words carry weight. Speak healing to yourself, and your spirit will listen. It is also important to know that healing voices do not always arrive in human form. Sometimes they come in the rustling of leaves, in the sound of water flowing over rocks, in the call of birds at dawn. Nature has its own language, and if you listen closely, it tells you storms pass, seasons change, life renews itself. These voices remind you that you too are part of that cycle of renewal. Healing voices can even live in the words of those who came before us. Open a book and find the wisdom of ancestors who endured trials greater than your own. Their voices cross generations, speaking courage into you even now. Poetry, prayers, sacred texts, letters written long ago, these are voices that continue to heal long after the lips that spoke them have gone silent. And when you have been strengthened by these voices, you in turn must become one. Speak healing to others. Offer encouragement where you see despair. Be the voice that reminds someone else of their strength, their beauty, their worth. Healing does not end with you, it flows through you. In lifting others, you lift yourself. In healing others, you continue your own healing. When you look back on the hardest seasons of your life, you will not always remember the details of the pain. What you will remember are the voices that carried you through, the ones who sat with you, the ones who believed in you, the ones who loved you when you did not feel lovable. Their voices will echo long after the pain fades, and you will treasure them as sacred gifts. So be mindful of who speaks into your life. Seek the voices that heal, hold them close. Let their words soak into your spirit until you feel whole again. And as you walk your journey, carry your own healing voice with you. Speak kindness to yourself, and let your words of hope become a balm for others. In this way, you create a circle of healing that no storm can destroy. When the world grows too loud, when the weight of your thoughts presses like stones upon your chest, when the voices of worry drown out the whisper of peace, step outside. Step into the quiet company of creation. There, in the rhythm of wind and water, in the stillness of trees and the faithful rising of the sun, you will find rest. Life itself is always speaking, always offering comfort, but you must be willing to pause long enough to listen. The earth has been carrying stories far longer than you have been alive. It has known storms. It has endured winters that seemed endless, and yet it always renews itself. Every spring, flowers bloom again, rivers flow again, birds sing again. Creation is the eternal reminder that no season of struggle lasts forever. If the trees can lose their leaves and still rise green again, then so can you. If the river can freeze in silence and still return to its flowing song, then so can you. Nature whispers resilience, and if you quiet your spirit, you will hear it. There is rest in the steady rhythm of waves brushing against the shore. They do not rush, they do not fight. They simply come and go, faithful as breath. Sit beside them, and your heart will begin to match their rhythm. The tide teaches you that life is not meant to be forced. It ebbs, it flows, it rises, it recedes. You do not have to hold everything together. Like the ocean, you are allowed to move with grace, to trust the rhythm. There is rest in the stillness of the mountains. Tall, unmoving, unshaken by wind or storm, they stand as ancient guardians of strength. When you sit in their shadow, you remember that you too can endure. You too can be steady, even when life's storms beat against you. The mountains do not bend themselves to the storm. They wait, and the storm passes. You are stronger than you think, and creation reminds you of that. There is rest in the fields and meadows, where wildflowers bloom without fear of being unnoticed. They do not chase approval. They do not strive for applause. They simply exist, radiant in their own right, filling the world with color and fragrance. Rest comes when you realize you do not need to earn your worth. Like the flowers, you are already enough. Creation does not compare itself. The oak does not envy the pine. The river does not compete with the rain. Each has its place. Each is needed. Each is beautiful. Let creation remind you that you too belong. When life feels unbearable, step beneath the wide sky at night. Look up at the stars, countless and ancient, burning their light across eternity. Notice how small your worries feel under that infinite canopy. Not because they are insignificant, but because they are not the whole of existence. There is a larger story being written, one in which you are a part, but not the whole. Rest comes when you realize you are not responsible for holding the universe together. The stars shine without your permission. The moon rises without your effort, and the dawn will come whether or not you worry through the night. Creation has a way of slowing us down. In the rush of daily living, you forget to breathe, you forget to notice, you forget to simply be. But step outside and listen to the birds. They rise each morning with a song, not because life is perfect, but because life is still here. Their music is gratitude in motion. Let their song remind you to find your own. Rest in creation is not only about silence, it is about connection. When your hands touch the soil, when your feet meet the grass, when the sun warms your face, you are reminded that you belong to something greater. You are part of the earth, not separate from it. And when you remember your place within creation, the burden of isolation lifts. You are never truly alone. For the trees stand beside you, the rivers run with you, the wind moves through you. Even in the smallest things, creation offers rest. Watch the way a butterfly lands gently upon a flower, unhurried, unafraid. Watch the way rain falls drop by drop, nourishing the thirsty ground. Watch the way clouds drift, never clinging to the sky, always moving, always changing. These simple acts of nature carry profound lessons. Be gentle, be present, let go, trust the flow. There is healing in walking through a forest path, in listening to the crunch of leaves beneath your feet, in feeling the shade of branches overhead. Each step in nature is an act of restoration. Your mind grows quiet, your heart slows its frantic pace, and you remember what it feels like to simply exist without demand. Rest is not laziness. Rest is survival. Rest is sacred. Creation itself rests. The land rests in winter. The fields rest after harvest. Even the sky grows dark to let the earth sleep. You too are allowed to rest. Sometimes the greatest rest you can find is in simply watching. Watch the sunrise. Watch the horizon shift from darkness to light. Notice how it happens slowly, gradually, gently. The night does not end in a single moment. It yields to morning inch by inch. So too, your pain will not end in one swift breath, but in gradual softening, moment by moment, day by day. The dawn is patient, and so must you be. Creation will teach you patience if you let it. And when you are weary of carrying your sorrow, creation invites you to lay it down. Sit by a river and imagine your pain floating downstream. Stand in the wind and let it carry away your worries. Place your hand on the earth and feel it take your burdens into its vastness. Creation is strong enough to hold what you cannot. You are not meant to carry it all alone. So when your spirit feels restless, when the noise of the world drowns out your peace, when the weight of living feels too heavy to bear, step outside. Breathe with the trees, rest with the mountains, sing with the birds, watch with the stars. Creation is waiting to remind you that rest is not a luxury, it is a birthright. And in that rest, you will remember who you are, a soul woven into the fabric of life itself, sustained, renewed, and never forgotten. There are nights so heavy that the darkness feels endless. You lie awake staring into shadows, and every thought becomes heavier than the last. The silence feels loud. The hours stretch long. Your spirit wonders if morning will ever come. But no matter how deep the night, the dawn has never once failed to rise. That is the promise of life itself. Darkness cannot last forever. The light always returns. When you are walking through your own midnight, when loss has emptied your heart, when disappointment has drained your strength, when fear has stolen your breath, you may forget this truth. The night convinces you that it is all there will ever be. But faith is remembering what your eyes cannot yet see. Faith is whispering to yourself, the sun is on its way, even while the world is still wrapped in shadows. Think of all the mornings you have already lived through. Nights that felt unbearable ended with the first rays of light slipping through your window. Mornings that came after you thought you could not endure another hour. Yet here you are. You have lived through darkness before. You have been held by the dawn before. And if the light returned once, it will return again. Darkness is not only the absence of light, it is the place where light is born. Seeds are planted in darkness before they rise into the sun. Babies are formed in the hidden womb before they breathe their first breath. Stars themselves are born in cosmic night, burning their brilliance into the vastness of space. Your struggle may be shaping you in ways you cannot yet see. Your pain may be the soil in which a new strength is being planted. Believe in the unseen work happening in your midnight. The dawn does not always rush. Sometimes it creeps slowly across the horizon, soft and steady. Healing is the same. It does not come all at once. It arrives little by little. A laugh that breaks through your sorrow, a moment of peace in the middle of your storm, a single step forward when you thought you could not move at all. These are the first rays of light, small but powerful. They remind you that the night is breaking, even if it is not yet gone. There will always be voices in the darkness, whispering fear, whispering doubt. They tell you that you will never rise again, that your joy is lost, that your story is finished, but those are lies. If the earth itself can spin from night into day, if the universe can hold both shadow and light, then your soul can carry both sorrow and hope. Do not let the night silence your hope. Speak light into your darkness. Say it out loud. This is not the end of me. My dawn is coming. And remember, sometimes the dawn appears through people. A friend who checks on you when you thought you had been forgotten. A child's laughter that reminds you that innocence still exists. A stranger's kindness that touches your heart when you least expect it. These are glimmers of morning sent to remind you that even in your hardest hours, you are not abandoned. Life always finds a way to show you its light. The dawn is also within you. Even in your darkest hour, there is a spark that refuses to die. You may not feel it, but it is there. It is the reason you are still breathing. It is the reason you are still standing, even with shaky legs. That spark is your dawn. Feed it with courage, protect it with hope, and it will grow into a flame. The night has its lessons too. In the darkness, you discover your own strength. In the silence, you learn to listen deeply. In the shadows, you grow the kind of faith that can only be forged when sight is gone. Do not curse the night completely. It has shaped you, but do not mistake it for your permanent home. The night is a chapter, not the whole story. The light is your destiny. When you believe in the dawn, you choose hope over despair. You choose to wait with patience instead of surrendering to fear. You choose to keep moving, even if your steps are slow. Believing in the dawn is not denying your pain. It is refusing to let your pain define you. It is saying, yes, I am hurting, but I am also healing. Yes, I am broken, but I am also becoming. That belief becomes your lifeline through the night. Every culture, every tradition, every people has honored the power of the dawn. It has always been a symbol of renewal, of second chances, of fresh beginnings. If the whole world looks to the rising sun as a promise, then so should you. Let each sunrise remind you that no matter how heavy the night, there is always the possibility of a new day. Stand in the morning light and let it touch your face. Feel its warmth. Let it sink into your skin, your bones, your spirit. That light has traveled millions of miles just to reach you. Do you see what that means? The universe itself conspires to bring you hope each morning. Life wants you to rise. Life wants you to shine again. So hold on through the darkness. When the night feels unbearable, remind yourself, this is not forever. This is not the end. A new chapter is waiting beyond the horizon. And when it comes, when the dawn finally breaks over your life, you will see that every moment of struggle, every tear you cried, every sleepless night was leading you here to this new light, this new strength, this new beginning. Believe in the dawn after darkness. Believe it with your whole heart, for it is coming. It always comes. And when it does, it will remind you of the most eternal truth. You were never meant to stay in the night. You were always meant to rise. Beloved, the storms of life will not always ask your permission before they arrive, but you do have a say in how you will rise after they pass. You have within you the breath to calm your fear, the memory of past victories, the rope of gratitude, the courage of release, the healing of community, the wisdom of nature, and the promise of dawn. Carry these with you, and when the world presses you down, you will stand taller than ever before. You are not just surviving tough times, you are mastering them. And in your rising, you give others permission to rise too.